Okay, we're here. We're going to make a magnetic blender. And this magnetic blender is an essential tool for you in the future, really to optimize your foods and keep them so they can keep their structure. Everything, remember, has a structure. It has a vibration. It has an energy. And using the blender is really good, but using the blender is on a 60-cycle electrical system. And 60 cycles, what it does, it's totally disharmonic to foods. It's disharmonic to the way our bodies work. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a 60-cycle Vitamix is what I use. This is the best machine I found that really works well with the magnets. I've burned out a few other blenders before by using these magnets because the machines are just not that well. But the Vitamix, I've been using these for years. I've never had a problem at all. Now, the reason being why we're going to use this magnetic blender, and here are the magnets we use. We sell these magnets. We have a special deal on them. These are like a 4,000 Gauss magnet, and I'm going to break this open. You can see how they come in a little stack. These are ceramic magnets. Most of them are made out of boron and cobalt, melted at 1100 degrees. And you can see how there's three fields we're going to go over. One is a north-south field, and they attract each other. And you can see I'm going to pull these close together, and they're going to boop, come together, and they're going to get stuck. Remember, the magnet doesn't have any energy. It's using the energy out of the ambient air to be able to make this connection. So it's stealing the energy or conducting with the energy, as our bodies are magnets too. This is why our bodies are very essential to have boron in it, because boron makes us. They found out if you're missing boron in your body, then your body has a problem with producing bioelectric current or magnetism. So this is the north-south. Remember, it pulls together. Okay. Now we turn this around on one side, and you can see how now the magnets have a fight. I can't push them together anymore. And you can't feel this, but this has a very strong, I can't push these together if I wanted to. They won't hit. Now, so there's a north-south. Remember, three different fields. North-south. Let's say this is north-north or positive-positive. And let's say this is south-south, negative-negative. So we have three fields again. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, north-north, south-south, and north-south. What we're going to do, and the reason how I found out a lot of this, I used to work with a lot of free energy type machines, and we used a lot of permanent magnets, a lot. And so the magnetism really excites. We can put these magnets, I'm going to show you, the same configuration on your car. You will get better fuel mileage. Guaranteed. I've done this 100 times. Everybody gets better fuel mileage. You can put these magnets on the configuration I'm going to show you, and the configuration is plus, plus, minus, minus, hitting each other at 90 degrees. So we can use this configuration on our shower, on our house water main pipe. You put these configurations so the north-north fights each other and then 90 degrees. So one is going to go on this side, perpendicular, in horizontal motion. And then we're going to flip the magnets around, and we're going to do the same configuration, but with reverse polarity. So we'll go over this again. Very simple. This seems a little difficult, but it's very easy. Remember, we have three fields. We're not going to use the north-south field because that's a field that is what's called neutral. You can see they're just coming together and they're being neutral. They're equalizing each other out. Just as much pull as there is, just as much push. Okay, and you can see in breath, out breath meeting each other. This is the power. We're going to flip around and we're going to mark one side, and we're going to flip around and mark the other side. And so how we mark these is very simple. I have a Sharpie pen, and we're going to take the magnets and just sit them up like this. So we'll take one of these. So when you buy these, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to buy about maybe, oh, a block of these. And they're cheap. We've bought enough of these to make them so we can pass the savings on to you. And these are the best ones we've found because they're about 4,000 Gauss. A lot of the magnets don't have power. So we want the most powerful magnets, but then again the most efficient and economical too, because some magnets are really super expensive. So we're going to take the Sharpie, and I try to use ones that are not toxic because a lot of the permanent markers, they really are super toxic to smell. And I'm going to put an X on each one of these. I'm going to pull it off and put an X on each one of these and separate them, because if I put them too close, these magnets are going to collide each other and they're going to break. Ceramic magnets are very brittle, and you have to watch out that they don't clash together, because a piece can fly up. You can see this little piece here broke, and you can see how it very quickly attracts itself here. That little piece can go in your eye. I have a small piece of magnet in my eye, and it's been in my eye for about 5 years. I had 2 magnets, and I by mistake snapped them together, and a piece of shard went into my eyeball, and another piece went into my cheeks. I had to be very careful. I would wear glasses actually on when you're doing this. Now we're going to put X's on all these because we're just trying to find out what is what's called positive side and what is the negative side. So we have enough of these here right now, and then what I'm going to do is flip it over. So we have an X on one side, and I'm going to flip it over and put a 0 on the outside, on the other side. So flip everyone over and just put a 0. What we're doing is we're marking the polarities. Doesn't matter, you can do plus, minus. I just do X and O's. So now we know, if we pick up 2 of these now, you can see here's a 0 and here's a 0. We know that opposites attract each other. Okay? So if these are not opposites and they're the same, what are they going to do? They're going to repel each other. See? So let's take a 0, opposites attract, and let's take an X. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to come together. Remember, that's not the field we're going to use. That's a neutrality field. We want to use a power field or a power energy band. So we're going to take the 2 zeros, and the 2 zeros are going to go on the magnet, just like this, straight across to one another. Very simple. You can see it's going to go straight across in a line. And then from this, we have the 2 zeros on the inside. So I put those down, and we're going to pick 2 more up, and we're going to take the 2 X's this time, and we're going to do the opposite field. So we have 2 zeros and 2 X's. And you can see how this is a weird type of configuration, because now we have one field that's pushing, and that means the electrons are going all over the place. Okay? They're pushing each other. They're making them so that the 2 sides can't touch each other. And then we're going to use the opposite side. Remember, it doesn't matter what side's north or south, because we're going to use each side. So it really doesn't matter. And there is a machine to tell if you're using, all you have to do is get a compass. And if opposites attract, that would mean if I put this magnet up to the compass and it threw the needle to the south, you would know that this would be south. Okay? So if it attracted the needle to it, you'd know that the other side would be north, because remember, the needle's going to come to the opposite side and it'll push away to the side that it's not. So the idea is that we've just marked our magnets. We're going to put 2 O's on one side, and we're going to turn it around at exact 90-degree angles. You can see it's a perfect square down here. That's why I like the Vitamix too, because some of the other blenders, they're round. And in order for this configuration to really work, you have to see that there's a cross, and you're trying to make a 0 point. So if you put a line this way and a line this way, where the lines intersect is where all this power is. So when this thing spins in a vortex, what this is going to do, it's going to take the energy that's in the food, and it's going to make it homogeneous to the energy that's being mixed. So everything's got a different energy. So what this does is, I call it the nanoizer. It breaks everything down, and when the machine shuts off, everything gets held in flux. Everything gets held solidly. So you can take oil and water, okay, or oil and vinegar, as they say, put it in the blender for about a minute, and you'll see that it will not separate. Now that's a cool invention. Normally I would run down to the patent office, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I would go down and I would see if I could file a patent on this to be able to say, I want to be able to own this little idea because it works. It takes anything and mixes it with anything. I call it the super mixer. Again, remember, this is for your blender. You're going to take the same configuration, plus plus, minus minus, or X's together, O's together, and you're going to put this on your shower. You're going to put this on your house. You can put this on any fuel line, gas line, anything that's liquid or even air. If you put this on a configuration, I've taken a sprinkler pipe before and just do the same thing. Tape everything so it's all like bound together because everything's pushing away from each other. And you could use this energy and put it in a lake. You could put it in a waterfall. You could actually use this, and what happens is the water becomes supercharged. This is how I make a lot of my plants at my house grow a lot more than they're supposed to. This is how we don't use any pesticides at my house. We don't use any insecticides, any herbicides, any fungicides. Magnetism is what actually is a terrain modifier. So this is very easy now. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some electrical tape. And I get this at Harbor Freight. It's very cheap. And first thing we're going to do is make it so the magnets will not really stick on here until we put 1 or 2 winds of this around. And I got this from Costco. I got my Vitamix. It was like $370 or so. And I bought a few extra one of these. There's ones for a wet blade. They call it for wet material. And there's one for a dry blade, which actually takes grain and really turns it into like dust. Now, we're going to use the electrical tape. And we're going to put the magnets at the bottom here. Okay? It's very simple. So all we're going to do is make a couple of turns here, a couple of winds with the electrical tape. And you want to stretch it a little bit. You don't want to put it on loose, but then again, you don't want to put it on too tight either. There's no need. Okay? So once I get the electrical, we don't cut it. There's no need to. You just keep on rolling. I'm going to start out with the zeros. So I have my 0 right here, okay? And we're going to put the 0, and I'm going to set it right down, right exactly in the middle. You can see how it's not off to the side. It's not crooked. This has to be lined up exactly right, otherwise the magnets don't work. Okay, so you can see I'm right dead center in the middle of the blender, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little tension on this tape. I'm going to lightly hold it down. That's it. I'm going to take the tape and roll it around. And remember, I can look on the inside. I know it's 0. Remember, the 0 is on the inside, so we're going to take the other 0 and we're going to make the zeros face each other. It's very simple. So I'm going to put this other 0 so it faces the other one. Line it up exactly in the middle. So these are just like if I put a string across there, the magnets would be lined up exactly in the middle of them. So you'd look and see how they're pretty much in line with one another. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stretch the tape a little bit, put it right on top so it doesn't move it around. Okay, we're going now to the next corner. Remember, we used the zeros on that one side, so now we're going to just flip it around and use the X. Remember, north, north, south, south. So this X is now going to go on the inside. The O went on the inside last time, now the 0 is on the outside. Oops. Like I said, you have to be very careful with these because they do chip. Here's a little piece here, so we're going to get rid of that. So the X goes on the inside, just like this. Same thing. Light, stretch, and make sure that it's lined up. And then I go all the way across the other way. Same thing. Remember, the 0 was on the outside. X goes on the inside, so it goes X to X. And we're going to make sure that that's in the middle again. Remember, this is very simple to do, so don't think this is hard. And you'll do the same thing on your shower. So when you get a shower to chlorinator, what it does is it makes your water wetter. It makes you so the water that touches you feels like it's energized because it's not dead. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the tape. I'm going to put a little tension on it, and I'm going to slowly wrap. Make sure all my magnets are lined up straight. I'm going to slowly wrap these magnets up with the tape. And so we'll go across here several times. And like I said, this is very simple to do. And you want to, when you put the tape on, you don't want to pull too hard, but you definitely want to stretch it maybe just a couple of pounds. So you are keeping everything tight. And then once you get it on there pretty good, then what you can do is stretch it a little bit more because we want to really keep this tight so it doesn't move around. So now you're going to make a rotation, and you're going to pull the tape a lot harder so you can really keep this tension on here. And all it takes is just about maybe 7 or 8 times going around. And that's it. Now, what we have is, if you look at from the inside, you'll see that we have 4 magnets. 2 magnets are facing each other exactly right in line, and the other 2 magnets are facing each other, making a cross. And where the cross intersects, where the 2 lines meet, that's what we call 0 point. And that's right in the middle of that blade when I turn it, see it? That's where all the action is where the vortex is. So as you watch the food and everything that you grind up in here, you can see it goes in a vortex. Everything follows the vortex, just so you know. This is the reason why this is very special. You know that a tornado can go by, right? And it spins by a couple hundred miles an hour. And what it does is it shakes and it changes the density of everything. So a piece of, let's say this is a piece of hay, a piece of straw. And this piece of straw they found stuck through a piece of glass, like this. Just a piece of straw. Remember, this thing's very brittle. How could this piece of straw get stuck in the middle of a piece of glass in a tornado? When the tornado goes by, what happens is it shakes the ethers. That's why, if you've ever been in a tornado, I've been in 2, and everything shakes, and it's such a weird train. It's like a big train that goes by, but it's such a dynamic feeling that everything is shaking. It's not just, you know, like wind. There's like a hum. And so this is exactly what we're trying to do, is stimulate 0 point wormhole. Now, people say, how does this work? Well, what it's doing is it is spinning everything in a direction of a vortex, and with the power in the center, the vortex starts out big and then it slowly comes down to this little tiny point. And if you look while you're making your material, you'll look down there, you'll see it looks like a tornado. Now, the smart thing to do now, because otherwise, remember, these magnets are dangerous. If you click them together, a piece of shroud may go into your eye. So like I said, if you're going to do this, wear glasses and make sure that you be careful not to let them smack together. So what I do, because a lot of people will be playing with your magnets because this is a cool tool, I use the same tape, and what we do is we're going to put a small boundary of tape, just like this, around all the corners, like that. So all I did was go around the edge, like that, and I just push down the sides. Okay, you can see the X and the O. Okay, and then you can see I'm going to put this here, and it snaps on there. Now, if it's opposite polarity, if I take this one off, which do you think this same polarity that pulls there is going to be able to go on here? Look, it's going to push it. Look what it does. Now, what's this one going to do? It's going to pull. Watch what happens. The next one is going to do what? It's going to push. So you can see this in-breath and this out-breath is the magic of how this blender works. So as this goes around, it pulls in, it pushes. It pulls in, and it pushes. Now, what we do is we do the tape on every one of the magnets. And now you've got yourself, the lowest level magnet that you have right now is just one row of these. So if you want more power, what do? You add another row of magnets. You put another row of magnets all the way around here, like this. Okay? And now you have twin power. I personally use about 4 on each one. So you can see what we're going to do. Remember though, you're going to go through and you're going to put the tape on here so when you throw it on there, it won't chip. Okay, but if you do this without this, you can see if I threw that on there, those will break. And possibly a piece of magnet will go in places that would be dangerous. So what we do is we put this about 4. You can see that's 4 deep right there. 1, the original one we put on, 2, 3, 4. So what I do is do the same thing. There's 2 on there. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 2 more. Now you've got yourself this really cool tool. It costs you nothing to do this, and this tool is one of my I can say proud inventions that we put together here. And I got this configuration from working with a lot of scientists around the world about free energy devices. They use the north-north, south-south, and they try to use it under vacuum. Remember, vacuum's where all the power is. If you want to really grab the ethers or grab the energy, you'll find out that the wormhole or the tornado is under vacuum. It's under the void. Now, this is an easy, simple configuration, like I said. Now we're going to show you how it's used. So that's it. If there's any questions, you can always email us at earthshiftproducts.com at the comments section. We've had many different comments and different questions, and this is why the show's here, is to be able to see if we can answer a lot of these questions. And we'll be right back.